All right, this is the 13th meeting of the incremental compilation working group. We have Wesley here and Oliver. From your silence, I'm trying to figure out whether you're going to participate or not. Totally silent. Oh, no microphone. Okay, that's the issue. All right, well then, we're very unlikely to see participation unless it's going to happen in chat. All right, so it's just Wesley and Felix today. So yeah, I don't have any items to add to the agenda. So this agenda is what it is. Oh, that's not true, actually. I was going to mention in the other agenda that I was making in parallel with Wesley. I'll add my item on there, which is mainly a sort of side note. I'll put it at the bottom. Okay. All right, let's get started then. So we've got this, I see a new issue, which has been filed very recently, 82920. Only P high. Is it not P critical just because we don't figure people aren't going to run into it? Like it's relatively hard to hit because you have to have a certain,
I
sequence
think
of events.
the standard policy that the prioritization group applies is that if it's essentially a stable to stable regression, then it's not P critical because it didn't block the release.
Okay, and it's not. I saw miscompilation. I interpret that as like code-genning incorrect code. But is that the case, or is it
That I think that's what's going on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it looks like it actually causes tests to fail that pass otherwise.
Oh yeah. Okay, that definitely is bad. Okay. Yeah, it's tricky. I agree that usually stable to stable things are not treated as critical because we assume people go run into them. But this is the kind of thing where David is waiting in the lobby. Oh man, I am just out to lunch about who's waiting. All right, so I'm letting in Santiago and David now. All right, so you all didn't miss very much other than me hitting the record button. So Wesley has an agenda that he put together, and we're looking at the first item on the agenda. You two can add stuff to the agenda if you want to in parallel. But we're talking about 82920, this relatively newly filed incremental compilation bug that is stable to stable regression. Is it actually been identified? Yeah, I guess they did identify the actual. No, wait.
It
has not been bisected, so we don't know. Okay, so it needs bisection, as well as needs MCVE. Because it seems if it truly is reproducible, then we should be able to bisect it. I can't tag things. I'm in my work machine right now, and I don't have myself logged into GitHub for some reason. I guess I could.
What do you usually want to tag it as?
I wanted to just tag as the needs bisection or whatever. In terms of the priority here, yeah. So what I was just musing about was what priority to use. It's tagged as I prioritize, meaning that they're asking for help prioritizing it. And yeah, historically, Wesley pointed out that stable to stable things don't get as high a priority because we figure, okay, it's out in production anyway, so we shouldn't be scrambling to fix it. I am curious. My opinion about that is slightly. I'm not quite as much in that camp when it comes to like things that are outright miscompilations, like incorrect code gen bugs, because those are harder to detect. Like it's one thing to have like incorrect compilation failure, like some kind of incorrect static error, but this seems worse. So I don't know. Is this critical or not? I guess that's the question. Is it just P high? We can also let the compiler team decide and not make a decision ourselves.
It seems pretty critical to me.
So one interesting part is this detail about the verifying the ICH, which I assume is the incremental compilation hash. Is that right?
Yeah.
So yes. So that's a sign that like our hash is actually unstable, right? Is that the correct way to interpret that flag? Yes, unstable fingerprints. So that's good. That might be a clue as to what it'd be there to fix it. Let's call it be critical and move along. And then should someone be assigned to it, I'm happy to take charge of it for the short term.
Okay. Do you want me to assign you?
Yes, please. That's the only. I'm saying this while I'm literally not logged into GitHub because I'm on this machine that I don't use. I try to avoid doing GitHub stuff on my work machine. So yeah, if you could assign me, that'd be good.
Done.
All right, and let's move along then. If I'm assigned and that's taken care of, then we can move on to 79519, store here attributes in a side table. Yeah, so
we talked about this, I think, in the last meeting we had. And basically, neither CJ, Gillette, or I have any good ideas for making it faster or less read or whatever. So the current state is basically that there's some regressions up to 2%, I think.
well, that's better than 4%.
There's some there are a couple large wins in
right.
actual rates in incremental scenarios. And then, as they noted in the PR also has the effect of breaking the hard dependency currently between cogen units and the HIR.
Breaking in a good sense or breaking in a bad sense? Sorry, the breaking
in a good sense, in that if the HIR owner and the HIR owner nodes queries right now change, then we just recompile code even if we don't need to in CGUs because of the way the query system works. So that's my understanding anyway. So anyway, by breaking the dependency, there's more opportunity to reuse cogen units, which is, I think, probably what's happening in the Tokyo web push simple debug.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go for it. Yeah, it's a tough call because of the regressions, but the wins seem huge, even though there's only a couple of them. They're in real, like you said, they're in real code. So,
and I think architecturally, this is what we want. So if there are regressions, we should try to fix those eventually at some point, or find some other improvement that would kind of negate the regressions. But I think this is architecturally what we want. So okay,
yeah,
I will.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Approve then.
Great. Okay. Even wins on max RSS. Oh, I guess yeah, if you don't recompile stuff, you're not going to have as high a max RSS necessarily because you don't waste that effort. Sorry, I was just looking at other metrics and thinking about them. Okay, great. Let's merge it. So next item, I just want to point out that the sprint is over, and I'm hoping to have a retrospective about it for the whole team. But one of the big things that I feel like is that this is no surprise. We didn't have enough preparation for the sprint, and so we spent the sprint itself doing work that arguably should have been done before the sprint. And it's fine that was what happened for the first sprint. I just want to learn from it for any upcoming sprints. And so we'll have a planning meeting at some point and decide what the next sprint will be. But the off chance that it's about incremental compilation, this is a case where it'd be good for our team to sort of take the lead there in terms of any prep work that might need to be done. That's all. Santiago?
Yes. So as it says there, like I'm kind of working on a metadata dumper. I'm doing other stuff related to trades and other things also in the compiler. So it's not like the first thing I'm tackling, but as a side thing, I'm doing that, and at some point it will be ready.
Okay.
Probably not tomorrow, but.
And the kind of metadata being dumped here, like this is just arbitrary create metadata. It's not necessarily just about incremental compilation, but it's like all the metadata or what?
Yeah, like I would need to decide exactly what, or even ask what would would we like to dump from the R meta files. The idea is to read this kind of files and dump whatever is in there. But I don't know if it like dumping everything would be like massive stuff, or maybe maybe we would like to have a way of filtering that, like with an external tool also. Like I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. But
There's definitely lots of question marks. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know enough about the metadata format to speak as to what makes sense there. I can guess that, like, depending on how it's structured, I could imagine, going doing interesting stuff with filtering, either as a post-processing pass, or perhaps better still as a sort of like online filter, like, feeding through.
Right.
But yeah, there's lots of question marks there. But yeah, I think just getting the simplest thing going is the way to go there. Don't try to like iterate too much on like figuring out the filter
Right.
first. Make the thing that dumps and find out
My
that it's
idea
too much
was,
first. Yeah.
My first idea was, let's do something and then like figure out what is best to dump. But there is also like
What format are you using for the output, out of curiosity? Like JSON, or
what sorry?
what format are you using when you dump it? Like, what are you emitting? Are you emitting just like an arbitrary text that you've come up with? You're emitting JSON or some other format?
Right now, nothing, because it's not implemented.
Okay. Oh, I say, okay. So when you say is working, and the quote is using quotes, there's is around, quote is,
there's
quote
a lot
working.
of quotes.
Yeah. Okay. You're thinking about it. Okay.
There's a tool that exists made by Bjorn, if I'm pronouncing their name correct. That is like, it reads our meta files. It's kind of old. It doesn't work with the latest nightly, as far as I can tell. But like I would try to dump something human readable. I don't know. Like also questions like what kind of format would we like to dump?
Yeah, I don't know the answer there either. It's interesting because the thing I was going to say is that on the one hand, I often opt to dump human readable stuff, but I found there's some cultural stuff there where there's a crate called tracing that Tokyo has. And one thing I noticed in watching a talk about it is the author of it made a point of saying, like, we're not dumping like human readable, we're dumping JSON or some other format that's meant to be parsed by other tools. And they, like, that was a pro from their perspective, because like if you dump human readable stuff, then anytime you want to work with it, you have to make ad hoc like greps or other tools, because as soon as the data becomes large, then it's not human readable. Even no matter how you dump it, it's not going to be human readable, right? That's the basic issue when you go to a large data set, is that you end up having to use other tools anyway to make sense of it. And once you're at that point, then you have a question of, okay, wait, is this actually buying us anything to have it be human readable? So that's the only thing I'm sort of mentioning offhand. Best of all might be to have it be simple to toggle between two options, right? Something where the output stream, however you're regenerating the output, try to, if you can, make it something that can easily produce JSON or human readable without too much trouble. And I don't know how hard that is to do. I honestly don't know. Maybe it's, if you, right now the compiler, for example, doesn't have a dependency on Serde, so you can't just like try to use their systems, because we don't want to add that dependency as of now. But there's other things that do dump JSON, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I believe. And so you might be able to leverage whatever they're doing to somehow make it easy to produce one or the other. And that way, at least, you can, in the terminal, just use human readable when you're doing little tests. But then when you want to actually produce, if you're working with a large crate, the JSON might be more useful. That's all. I'm just trying to point out a potential thing early on.
Fortunately, we're recording this session because, as you may have seen, there's my little daughter here, and I wasn't able to.
You weren't able to listen to any of that. Yeah.
100% of what
I
you were saying.
I understand.
But I'm gonna watch the recording for the.
No,
for the
it's
answer.
okay. It's don't worry about it, Santiago. I wasn't saying anything that important. Okay. All right. Let's move on to Wesley. You've got a patch from the sprint last week, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the theory last week that I was kind of looking into is that if we split our really large CGUs, we could drive peak memory down in the compilation, or in the bootstrap process. So, so I wrote a patch that basically basically just looks for the kind of outlier largest CGUs in a crate and then splits them in half roughly. And then we lean on the current merging process to actually give us like reasonable sized results. And the data I was seeing for Rusty Mirror is that that seemed to work great in that the resulting CGUs we got were all maybe within like 2 or 3x the same size, the same estimated size.
That's way better than what we were doing before. Okay.
Yeah, which is
I'm
like
sorry, but
literally 100x better.
But can I clarify one thing about the strategy you just described? Did you say you split it like just you find the largest thing and split it once, or you do it iteratively where you keep resplitting the largest thing until you hit some like?
We split it once, but then it goes back in the work queue, so if it needs to be split again, then it gets
Okay. So there's an iterative. Effectively,
yeah.
It does iterate. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when do you stop? Once the largest thing is no longer no bigger than 2x the next largest thing or something?
So what I initially did was I said find the largest, sort all of them by size, find the middle one, and then set the like max allowed size as 10x larger than the middle one.
Gotcha.
And then that's a fixed value, and then we just keep iterating until all of them are lower than that number. And that seemed to work fine for Rusty Mirror, but it made it looks like it made the compilation take quite a bit longer. Like the overall bootstrap time looks like it's regressed about, I think about 50 seconds or something on my machine.
Can you isolate how much of that is from the actual effort of your pass, like the iteration process there, versus the impact it's had on code generation? Is there a good way to isolate those two factors?
Yeah, I can look at that because I did have a timer. I didn't look at that currently because I don't think the pass is taking.
The pass doesn't sound like it should take that
per run.
No.
So I think it's just the effect that it's having on LLVM. What's interesting is that it looks like there is a reduction in peak memory usage, but I'm unconvinced that that has anything to do with my patch other than it made crates take long enough to compile that it changed which crates were compiling at the same time. And that has the effect of reducing peak memory usage.
Yeah.
So I'm still doing some investigation into it. And if anybody has any thoughts about maybe why that is not, I was hoping if we were seeing a 100x reduction in the difference between some of our CGU sizes, I was hoping we would get something a little more noticeable than like, I think it's maybe a 8% improvement or something in peak memory usage. So,
well, so as part of this, then, have you looked at it without compiling the crates in parallel, like just to evaluate the peak memory use? Or I guess you don't need to do it that way. I was musing myself. You're talking about, okay, like you saw these changes in peak memory usage and you're hypothesizing about it being about the concurrent runs, but can you eliminate that from the analysis?
Yeah, that's what's on my to-do list today.
Okay.
I just thought it was going to take time. So.
Okay. Yeah, it will take time once you just set that run up. Yeah. Okay. That's cool though. All right. Yeah, yeah, it'd be good to see what comes of this. I mean, obviously the other thing I would think is, once again, this comes back to our merging algorithm being so simple-minded and not taking anything else into account. And like, once you're doing this splitting, you may need to revisit, I don't know how merging is done, trying to make it more clever. Although you would hope that anything that's split doesn't get remerged. Like I was gonna say, okay, what I was gonna say is that, there may be cases where you need to remerge things. No, I guess this might make sense still. You see, the whole point here is the initial thing you're doing about all the splitting, it's starting with everything on a more even playing field before the merging that happens, right? And so the remerging hypothetically could very well end up with things being remerged together that were previously merged together hypothetically, but it doesn't necessarily end up that way. And in fact, you may want to bias towards it trying to remerge things that were already merged together because of the effects of, them having the same inline functions, not duplicating that effort, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so the other thing I was going to try to look into was what the total estimated size for all of the CGUs added up becomes before and after the patch, i.e. is the splitting causing us to generate lots and lots of copies of functions or something, and maybe that's why it's not having a positive effect on compilation.
Right, so, and that's a place where then a more intelligent merge could be potentially useful because it avoids that that blow up. Okay, cool. All right, for issue triage, we basically had very little things go on. We have we haven't added anything to our own issue set because we haven't had a meeting, and we were busy with other things for the most part. And there's 3 new incremental compilation issues, one of which was part of the things above, right? The miscompilation with incremental compilation is one of the 3 new ones. What are the other 2? Are they? Oh, I see. It's probably 82115 and 82027, I think. They're open 23 and 25 days ago, which you would think is a long time ago, but we also haven't had a meeting in like a month, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So it's actually entirely plausible. Yeah, one is they're both ICEs, I think. Yeah. So
It looks like one of them may be able to be closed. 82115, Aaron's commented this is fixed in the latest nightly.
yeah. I'm curious whether that's because of the thing that yeah, I'd be a little curious to know where it actually got fixed, but yeah. Wesley, you might, well, it's fine. I guess we can close it or leave it open. I was gonna say like I'd like to bisect it, but the answer is I suspect it might have to do with, it could very well have to do with a patch that Michael put in recently, that I reviewed. Okay, but I don't know if I want to take time to actually verify that. Oh,
Didn't that only land like a couple nights ago?
Oh, true. And I see these comments are old for the about them being fixed in the latest nightly. Okay, I didn't notice how old the comments were.
I mean, if Aaron's commenting, I'm gonna guess it's probably a PR Aaron wrote. So I was gonna go see if I could find maybe what he's talking about. But
Okay. Yeah, it's not clear to me when I scan over the PRs from Aaron which one it would have been. Oh, also,
I'll just leave a comment asking Aaron if he knows which PR text it.
the other problem is we might not have enough information to even reproduce some of these, right? I'm reading over 82027 now. I'm like, oh, I don't think this actually gives enough information to reproduce it anyway.
Yeah, there's no reproduction steps given in 82115. It's literally just I was running REST-C at some point and I hit this.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to just close it then, or should I try to?
Yeah, I just close it. Yeah. Well. Just maybe first ping Aaron just to get insight as to what PR they think fixed it first, just to have a little bit of backtrace while it still might be fresh in Aaron's mind. Because if someone asks in a year, it's not going to be. They're not going to know. All right. Beyond that, then there is the classic in-queue issues to be triage question. And yeah, once again, I want to get out of this rut of us like, in queuing them and not doing it. So, but I also don't want to set us up for failure. I guess we'll let's take care of that asynchronously, maybe, to see if we can do some of this, the triaging of the old issues. It doesn't have to happen here. David, was there anything you want to report, by the way? I assume not.
No, I've not done anything.
Okay.
I'll be back in it soon.
All right, no problem. Okay. All right, thank you all for attending. We'll wrap it up here. Okay. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.